terrorism in Punjab. He has served the nation as Director IB from 94 to 96 and was Chairman Joint Intelligence Committee, apex body at the national level responsible for national security estimates. He was also member National Security Advisory Board. We are honored to have him here for our keynote address. I request him to kindly come here on stage. He'll be talking on understanding safety, security, and loss prevention.
Shri S.K. Sharma, Shri Rajan Medekar, other members of the illustrious faculty of this institute, ladies and gentlemen. I am very happy to be here. My association with IISSM goes back quite a while, and I am very happy to find that finally the institute has come out of the COVID effect and held this hybrid conference, and we are able to physically see each other also. The subject, safety, security, and loss prevention, is now of universal application because we live in an unsafe world and the concerns cut across geographical frontiers. So let's start by finding out what's the link between safety, security, and loss prevention. Now, safety and security, you know, are kind of preventive arrangements, and if they were not there, there would certainly be a loss. And therefore, if you have security and safety, then you are ensuring loss prevention. But what is the difference between safety and security? They both denote a kind of protection, but they are not synonyms. Please understand this. Safety runs into a problem because of systemic failure. Systemic failure can occur because the maintenance is poor, or the people who are handling it, they are professionally not sound, and they are not updating themselves on the safety scene. And therefore, whenever there is a safety failure, presume it to be a failure of system and management. Security is a different ball game. Security is a damage, is a kind of damage caused by an alien element, whether it's insider or from outside. It's not accidental. And moreover, the security is protection against a covert attack. It's a protection against an enemy who is not seen. So if you are being attacked by an element you are not seeing, then how you go about it? That's why a very special kind of an effort is needed. And all this is specialization that the security officers are supposed to be subjected to. It explains that. It is nothing to do with maintenance failure. Please understand that. Now we live in a world where there's so much talk of security, really. It's quite simply because somewhere we live, as I said, in a relatively unsafe world. And the fear of a covert offensive exists not only at the national level, that's why we have national security, but even at the level of organizations and even individuals. That's why somewhere we discuss the security, particularly for women. Now, if that is the case, then can there be a pathway of perfecting security? Safety, of course, is relatively easy, but security is a little more tough, because after the end of the Cold War, you know, the cutoff year for the end of the Cold War is as recent as 1991. It coincided by the victory of anti-Soviet armed campaign in Afghanistan, which led to the demise of one of the two superpowers, and the world became unipolar. US dominated. But even in this situation of US having a domination in the world, Bill Clinton's Secretary of State, Warren Christopher, famously said in '93 that national security is inseparable from economic security. So you understand how things get linked up. There's no fear of an open attack as much, because it was open warfare got substituted by proxy wars, covert offensives, and that is not turning back. We happen to be at the receiving end of a proxy war because of a hostile neighborhood, but even worldwide, because an instrument of covert attack is terrorism. Terrorism, by definition itself, is resort to covert violence for a perceived political cause. Now, if the cause is not genuine, but creators of terror movement can create a cause, you know, we are sort of we are being subjected to unfair atrocities and everything, or our religion is in danger, or whatever. So this is translating into the life of organizations also, because you know, there are organizations in the strategic sector, both in private and public. So the enemy is wanting to damage your security by attacking your strategic sector establishments. Normal business is competitive. So those in the competitive business, they have to take care of the threat not from the enemy but from the competitor. So the competitor is using the same techniques that any other enemy would use. So I'm bridging the gap between national security and organizational security, and it is good to understand that. Now, if an establishment is fearing damage and attack, what can the enemy attack? Any security, when we talk of security, is protection against three things. Whether you're talking of national security, you're talking of industrial security, you're talking of cyber security. Because any entity has three assets. So any of these three assets can be attacked. First is the material assets, your stores, and the other is your human resource. And the new resource is the information resource, which you want to keep it exclusive to yourself, because more than material and human this thing, these days your information can be accessed. And that's the whole story of use of technology in this new field of threat to security. So there are three big names in the terminology of security: sabotage, subversion, and espionage. You must have heard that. Quite in simple terms, sabotage is unacceptable destruction of your physical asset. Unacceptable. If there is a short circuit, you have no reason to describe it as a sabotage, because in any case it's a safety issue. Theft is a concern of security because the man is unseen. So on that logic, that's why fire is with safety, theft is with security. But these days, you know, your personal, the people, your human resource, that can be attacked. Their mind can be turned, the loyalties can be altered. And if you are in the competitive business, a subverted insider can do havoc. Your data theft can be attributed to a physical entity, a human entity. So this is subversion. And espionage. Espionage is used internationally and for national security context, but loss of protected information. Even in competitive business, you want to keep some information to yourself, and the other side is wanting to get into that. So, for protecting your material assets, you call it physical security. For protecting your manpower, you call it personnel security. And for information thing, you simply call it information security. And I don't think this is the time to go into each of that, but rushing through, physical security requires three things: a secure perimeter, because then you define the openings and have access control. And to back it up, you should have an intrusion detection, because howsoever strong, nobody is building a brick and mortar periphery these days. But then intrusion detection is important. And it is on this point that technology is coming to everybody's help in a big way. As far as the personal security is concerned, first you try to recruit the right kind of person, and therefore the importance of antecedents checks. Second, you create awareness. You create awareness of security, because, you know, in IB, there is no difficulty about this, because a deputy director would not ask another deputy director, what are you doing? What's the operation? And so this need to know functions vertically, not horizontally. So you should not seek, in sensitive organizations, people should not seek to find out what the colleagues are doing. They can have a gossip at lunch, that's a different thing. Now, but in personal security, importance of having arrangements, professional arrangements, to spot if there is something wrong inside. You know, for instance, if a person, and I call it a sign of vulnerability and sign of suspicion. First stage can lead to the other, because the outsiders are also vaulting. If there's a drunkard in your midst, he can be exploited, right? Suddenly you find the man is spending much more than what his income suggests. Classically, this should arouse interest. Anyway, but in organizational terms, you should have some unit, and that's why every worthwhile enterprise has a security unit, security cell, headed by a very competent security officer. And I always say that this sign in that thing, I raised that question in that committee, whether this chief security officer has access to the top man or not, because security runs on the authority of the top man. The top leadership cannot be aloof from the security. That would be an antithesis. So, for instance, as director IB, my doors were always open. Anybody could, even an ACIO2 could knock, and he was not able to come through his seniors, they were not available, he could come to my room, and I'll find out what is bothering him. So, this is about personal security. And the information security, the first step is you should know what you're trying to protect. And protection of information is done through what is called classification. In an organization, you may not have a top secret, but certainly the restricted or... Can you open this? Excuse me. So if you have not protected your information, you can't complain that somebody has accessed it. Protection means limiting the access. And therefore, from that will follow the restrictive security. Need to know, as I said, that's very important. And of course, because now cyberspace is used for communication, it's a whole lot of new word in terms of what you can do to protect your information. I think the security people in an organization, if it's a sensible organization, sensitive organization, or organization exposed to a lot of competition, its function should be whether any insider is showing signs of not being on the right track. And because it's still, there's an FBI study which is still valid, that 2/3 of the breaches are because of some insider. So I think that must not have changed very much. And therefore, what do we do? I think there is, apart from all the human effort that is made, induction of technology, and I find this is the main subject of the panel discussion this afternoon. Technology is a force multiplier. Technology brings in smartness. I like to define what do you mean by smart. Being smart means being able to produce more in the same unit of resource, whether it is time, whether it is a human being. So technology will reduce the number of people engaged in a project from 3 to 2, which is 1/3 of the making it cost effective. But in terms of the challenges which have arisen for online communications, it's a work in progress. And I mean, even in the best of encryptions that you could use, they cannot last. I mean, they should be, the principle is to change them. Passwords, the permutation of firewalls, or the login control, or the application layer controls, all this cannot be static. Security is never a one-time event. It's not a static at all. It's a matter of degree. You should never feel satisfied that you have achieved it to the fullest extent. Social media. Look, I mean, technology has two sides. It brings you benefit. The social media marketing, I found the word SMM is a very good thing. But you can't prevent the adversary from using the same technology. And therefore, this fear of data loss through hacking. And hacking is a word, and I found that hacking is like a forced, somehow you get into the target circuit. And the thing about hacking is that you detect it after it has happened. I don't know, technology people would say that at least 72 hours, or is it 48 hours? And a good example of that was the Israelis getting into, through this Stuxnet worm, it affected the control mechanism, automatic control mechanism, the logic of control, and their inside of it, the you know, the concentration mechanism, they were halted without these people knowing it. It took some time for them to know. So technology is open door, and I think any security organization must ensure that technology solutions of security are fully developed, fully understand, and fully brought into use. Last point is about, I said, the security setup, which has become necessary. I recall there is this organization ABB, ASEAN Browdy something. They were the first to make a big investment 20 years ago in security, in corporate security, and things becoming more complicated. I think security is no more a matter of just deploying some guards. It's a totally mental or intellectual horizon it has got, and as I said, it's a constant process. Security is not a one-time event. You have to, because the adversary is creating new lines of attack, and you have to keep up with that. And that's why I think if the IISSM could concentrate on checking out on the quality of chief security officers, as is called, that would be a great help. And another point is that, as I said, it's everybody's concern, and at least in the present regime, this concept that all good things should be done in partnership, private-public partnership as a concept is now favorably taken, more favorably than perhaps it happened in the past. And I was telling Rajan that this should give you a line of advancement to be explored further. Thank you very much. Thank you.